before we even get started, I'm going to warn you all that if you got a weak stomach or you are a little leery of blood, this is not a video for you to watch. This video contains graphic content which is strictly distributed for your entertainment pleasure and also for safety references. So graphic content will follow. You guys are going to see blood. You're going to see the inside of my finger. So if that's not your kind of thing, please tune out now. Enjoy the video. Hello, boys and girls. Let's take that frickin' monster and set it right there. Get some close. I want to handle this thing bare. So here's what happened, you guys. Now I actually did video this. I'm going to show you the video of me doing this after I give you the little intro to it. But what happened was I managed to remove the end of my finger working on this amp. And what the story was is that this case that the guy sent up to me, he had it bent out of some really nice stainless steel. Really, really nice stainless steel. And so I get the amp all repaired. God, this fucking hurts. Ow, 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 ow. Okay, I'm gonna O.J. Simpson it. I had the lid off, and I ran to punch through it, and I videoed all of this. I pulled the punch off the case, and it didn't dawn on me that this was stainless steel. I thought this was aluminum. And I put my hand around the punch, and it was really fighting me because there were some burrs of metal that were between the edges of the Greenlee punch. This is a 120 millimeter Greenlee punch. And I had my hand around the punch like this. When I pulled the punch apart with great force, this sharp edge literally razored off the end of my finger. Please note by the blood. So it degloved my pointer finger. Oh. Which has made working on things a challenge. I personally, I don't want to work on this box anymore for obvious reasons, but it's finished. And all I had to do today was mount down the fan. I'm going to leave the protective coating on it for you until it gets to your side of the street, and then you can take the coating off. But that's as sharp as a razor blade. I want you to imagine, throw that away, I don't want to touch that thing again. If I was to take this razor blade and then push my finger down against it and then jerk with all my might against this razor blade, I literally took the soft tip of my finger off from about here forward. It's gone. Went all the way through all the skin, and I have exposed muscle underneath. What you're going to see in this next little bit of the video is me actually doing the act. And you're going to watch me drop this die and walk off camera. But I didn't shut the camera off, I kept talking. Meanwhile, it instantly started to spew blood out of the muscle, like non-stop. And it ran all the way down my hand, coated my whole hand. It ran down my forearm, it was dripping off my elbow. And the only way I could be able to get it to stop bleeding is I took a piece of paper towel, I put it on a workbench, I put about a quarter size or 50-cent piece size of super glue, and I took the end of my finger and I jammed it into the paper, and then I squirted it down with Instaset, and I built like a false cap on the end of my finger, and then I sat there and I trimmed away the edge of the super glue. And today's Wednesday, and I did it on Sunday. So this morning I went and seen the doctor, and they said there wasn't anything they could do for me, that it would grow back in time, that I'm going to be dealing with this for probably the next 3 to 4 months. It could take up to 6 months to completely heal. They said it's going to start to scab. They put this stuff called foam gel on the end of my finger, air foam gel. and the skin's supposed to bind to it. I don't know, that was incredibly painful for me, so I came home and I put some lidocaine on it, and then I put the gel on top of that, and that was able to kill the pain enough to where I could work today. But the messenger's done. We're going to run it through a quick little test. If you guys are working with stainless steel, please use gloves, because if I would have had gloves on, I wouldn't be dealing with this. This is incredibly painful. There's a nerve that's just right at the tip of your finger. It's a pressure nerve to tell you how hard you're grabbing things. I've removed that nerve from my finger, and they said it's a 50-50 chance if it'll come back. It might come back, it might not. So, the downfall from that is when I'm laying there in bed sleeping in the middle of the night, it'll tell me that my hand's either on fire or my hand's in a bucket of ice water. Then the weird thing is I actually nicked this finger right here, and I sliced off part of the fingernail because I had gripped it like I was gripping the die like this. Last 2 days, these two fingers have ached and throbbed and been a ton of pain, and this one hasn't hurt at all until today. Today it started hurting pretty good. But it would cause this whole portion of my hand to hurt, and then for some reason it was causing my elbow to hurt. I don't know why. I think this is misplaced pain because my brain was trying to figure out what the hell was going on with my finger. But let's cut over to the actual take of the video, and then I'm going to show you some pictures of my finger. These were today. The super glue cap came off today. Now, I was so busy bleeding I didn't think I needed to take pictures of it at the time. I don't think you can blame me, but I did take some pictures today to show you how much shorter my finger is from this perspective, and then I gave you a dead-on shot, but those are 3-day-old pictures. So those are from today. I'll share those with you, and then when we come back we're going to be working on this. Ow! Oh! Alright, let's do it. So Mr. C, remember you sent me this thing, and he sent me a match set of 8, by the way, you guys. Here's your Toshibas. They're all been installed. And then I went and I put a plug in the hole for the one fuse, which wasn't there. And then I replaced the power wires that were about that long that came out of the back of the box. Got you new power wires. And instead of having that strap that goes across the top of the transistors, which holds so much heat to the top of the transistors, I went ahead and I used a couple pieces of 12 gauge. It gave you a nice clean ground bus bar. The other thing that you wanted me to install along with a fan, which we went ahead and we did, which works great, is a soft key. Because he's going to be using like an ICOM, I guess. And, oh god, this is going to hurt. Okay. Just can't put any pressure on it yet. Down here on the bottom, you'll see that there is a little plug right here. And you're going to ground that plug out. So it works on a mono plug. It looks like a stereo headphone jack, but it's a mono plug. You stick it in there, and you take the edge terminal and ground it to the center terminal. Otherwise, off your radio, you're going to have a switch to ground. You can take that center pin, connect that to center pin, and that'll manually come over here and fire this relay. Okay? This is your transmit receive relay. So you got soft key. The other thing I did is I bypassed the low, medium, and high. When this came here, that board was all completely broken off. Well, I went ahead and I glued the board back and made it so it was stationary. But this knob doesn't do jack shit. The preamp still works and the sideband delay works. And the other thing I wanted to tell you is all the 455s that came out of this, they're low in gain, but they're still good transistors. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to send these back with the box. The other thing I found was the output Arco variable was bad, completely burnt through. And Ended up having to replace this combiner because it was cracked and one of the legs was ripped off. I got down there to take a look at one of the legs and it friggin' just shattered in my hand. So went ahead and built you 2 new combiners. And then I replaced all the output capacitors because they were all like at 300 and 400 puff. Somebody got this thing super hot. And then I replaced all the flyback resistors in here because remember they were all burned up and brown and fugly looking. Then I replaced the primary combiner resistor. And what was causing that was these 2 parts here. This Arco and this Arco here, or this capacitor here. So replace that capacitor here on the output and replace that Arco. Now this thing is pretty much centered for, well, you know, the funny band. But it'll work on 10, and it'll work on 12, and it'll work a little bit lower, 14. But I would not suggest going any lower than that. The output network for this box is not designed to handle it. So without adding a wrap in the transformer, and then adding a band board to the output side of this thing, you're never going to get the loads to be resonant. So you're going to, 1, want to use an antenna tuner, and 2, you're going to want to use a low pass filter. Believe me when I say that. You're going to want to use a low pass filter. This is as clean as we can get it with this particular board design without doing a lot of very heavy modification to this thing. So we're as broad as we can be, but this circuit that's here is absolutely does not lend itself to being a multi-band box. So we got to run in as best we could. You already know all about that on the phone. We discussed it, but please remember to use a low pass filter. Your neighbors are going to appreciate you for it, like the guys that you're using this around, if you choose to use this someplace where it's not designed to be used. Just saying. Putting her out on Front Street is a disclaimer. Okay, so Mr. C. The other thing we did is you wanted me to leave the driver transistor in there. I did. The driver transistor and all its circuitry is in there. What I did is I disconnected the low, medium, and high, so the RF comes straight in, goes directly to the 8 pills. Now, like I was explaining to you, the ICOM 706 Mark II-G that you're going to drive this with on sideband can do upwards to 120 watts. So I can't put 120 watts into a 120 watt device. You wouldn't see any depreciable output gain. You wouldn't see, you'd end up putting a lot of pressure on these resistors here, which is an input pad. And you'd probably end up killing this transistor here, and it's just not worth it. So just bypassed it, removed all that circuitry. It's still fully biased, Class B, and it's ready to go. So now I've got it hooked up to the striker. We're going to run it here, and then we're going to hook it up to here, and we're going to run it on 10 meters. This is a non-modified in any way, shape, or form ICOM 7300, still completely legal. We're not transmitting into an antenna. As always, guys, we're transmitting into a line terminus, which is grounded. We're using the highest dollar coax that we can purchase, which is RG400 and 393, to help eliminate any kind of bleed or spurious RF emissions. Okay. 1000 watt slug and PEP, 1000 watt solid, and average 5 watt slug and reverse. Radio. First, let me show you drive. About 90 watts. Hello. Nice solid 800. Now I can make it do a lot more on this band if you wanted it to. But that's not what we're after today, if I am understanding what we're talking about here. Oh, let me turn that around one more time. Okay. Fan's actually pretty quiet. I wanted to flip it over because it was making the bench resonate, and I didn't want to give you a false idea that this thing is super loud. This is moving a lot of air, and I don't think you're going to have any problems, especially since we bypassed that driver transistor. It's going to run pretty smooth for you. So let's go ahead and we'll disconnect. Oh, hold on. It's going to take both hands. I just want to throw this amplifier. Well, I want to throw the tins in the trash. The amplifier didn't do me any harm. It seems like I'm constantly finding new things to bump this thing into. It doesn't hurt until I bump it into something, and then it's like, oh. But I'm going to get on with it. I need to quit crying for attention and just get on with it. So we're on sideband. Like I said, the preamp is 100% functional. So we're going to go over here. We're on 10 meters. We've got our output power at 100%, my gain 100%, compensate compressor at 7, and a monitor at 59, even though the monitor doesn't do anything here. First, let me show you drive. Hello, audio. Right at 100 watts. Hello, audio. Right at 50 watts, bird. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. 400 bird, 800 peak. Hello, audio. That's on 14 volts. So let's go ahead and we'll jump around it. We'll come on down here to 12. Now we're going to see power start to drop off, because remember, we're moving away from the resonant frequency for this amplifier. So if you want to use an external tuner in hand with a low pass filter, or you can go to Communication Concept and then go get yourself a little project box, and then you're going to wire up a myriad of 8 switches and provide it with 12 volt power. You can plug this directly into that board, and then you're off to the races and run. Hello, audio. So what you got to keep in mind is that we're seeing the output power fall off for 2 reasons. The input resonancy's fallen off, and the output resonancy of the circuit's fallen off. Okay? So you can trick that with an input tuner, like have a tuner in between the radio and the amplifier. That'll get rid of the, it'll make the input circuit resonant good. So your output power will increase. But because the output circuit isn't matched, otherwise to a load of 50 ohms at the coax terminal, you can use another tuner in hand with that and get it to balance out, and then get that extra couple 100 watts out of it, if you wanted to. Let's go on down here a little bit. I'll show you drive one more time. Hello, audio, 100 watts. Hello, audio, 50. 50 bird. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. I wouldn't go a lot lower than this. I really wouldn't. We'll try it. This is no way recommended. Hello, audio. Okay, 150 as always. Let's see, the tuner bypassed. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. You're bound down to about 350 watts, 380 watts. I would not go any lower than this. I wouldn't even try 80 meters on this if I was you. You're going to end up smoking up the balance resistors inside the box. You probably won't pop a pill, but I wouldn't suggest it. And still, even 400 watts at this frequency is a lot of power, especially from the mobile application. But Mr. C, you're 100% back up and running. I want you to watch this video, and I want you to come back to me with questions, because I know you're going to have it. And you're going to talk to me about some other stuff, which I know that you're going to want to do. And I'm kind of looking forward to that conversation, but I can't have that conversation with you on YouTube for a lot of different reasons. Primarily legal, if you know what I'm saying. So anywho, gentlemen, my name is BBI, and without a shadow of a doubt, I am the biggest mud duck in Idaho. Come check us out, www.bbiamps.com. Come find me on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, and YouTube. And of course, if you're a first-time watcher to the channel, please make sure to hit subscribe. I know this video is going to get a lot of views, because I physically hurt myself. Oh, man. Or just call me on that phone if the questions you got for me aren't answered on my webpage. And no, I am not currently taking any new orders for any new projects. Still not. I'm working on what I've already got in a book, and I got a lot of people out there that are being really patient. Well, 7, exactly. 7 customers that are being really patient with me right now. And we'll come to the end of that very quickly. On that note, there's the blood I left on the workbench. It's super glued. It'll be there forever and ever and ever and ever. And right there, ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. I think I'm going to change the towel. Gentlemen, I'm out of here. Good night, goodbye, and on to the next one. Bump, bump, BBI. Damn, my finger hurts.